Captain Miles Donovan's routine patrol through the Dakari Nebula was about to take a drastic turn. Aboard the Peregrine, a sleek reconnaissance vessel built for speed and stealth, Miles was used to the solitude of space. His only company was the ship's AI, Vega, which monitored the systems and provided occasional conversation. As they navigated through the dense asteroid belt that marked the nebula's outer edges, a sharp, insistent beep echoed through the cockpit. Vega's voice followed, calm yet urgent. Distress signal detected. Coordinates locked. Source: uncharted planet in Sector 7G. Miles frowned, peering at the holographic star map that shimmered in front of him. Sector 7G was notorious for its unstable wormholes and barely charted celestial bodies. He hesitated for a moment, weighing duty against danger. Curiosity won, as it often did with him. Set course, Vega. Let's see who's calling for help out there. The Peregrine dipped closer to the planet, its shields whirring as they adapted to the atmospheric anomalies. The storm that enveloped the planet was fierce, with electrical discharges that danced like ghosts across the ship's hull. Miles maneuvered with practiced ease, but even he couldn't suppress a jolt of adrenaline as a lightning bolt skimmed past the cockpit window, illuminating the chaos outside. Vega's voice cut through the tension. Impact imminent, brace for... Before Vega could finish, a blinding light filled the cockpit, and the ship shuddered violently. Through the din, Miles saw it. A spacecraft, its hull aflame, spiraling downward. He followed instinctively, pushing the Peregrine into a steep dive to keep the alien ship in sight as it crashed through the canopy of an alien jungle. Landing the Peregrine a safe distance from the wreckage, Miles grabbed his survival pack and medical kit. The rain was relentless, soaking him to the skin as he sprinted toward the crash site. Steam and smoke rose from the mangled vessel, which bore no markings he recognized. This was no human technology. Approaching cautiously, he called out, hoping for a response. There was none, just the crackling of fire and the distant rumble of thunder. Then, amidst the twisted metal, he saw movement. A delicate hand, distinctly non-human, clutching at the air. Miles rushed to her side. The alien girl was unlike any being he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent quality, her eyes wide and luminous under her brow. She was clearly in pain, yet there was a grace to her, even in distress. "Hey, it's okay, I've got you," Miles said gently, using the most soothing tone he could muster. He didn't know if she could understand him, but perhaps the calmness in his voice would reassure her. He checked her for injuries, finding a deep gash along one leg and several bruises. His training took over as he administered first aid, stabilizing her as best he could. As he worked, he studied her features. Her eyes held galaxies, her presence otherworldly yet vulnerable. She murmured something in a lilting tongue he couldn't comprehend, watching him with an intensity that spoke of fear and gratitude mingled together. Miles smiled reassuringly. "I'm Miles. I'm here to help." He wasn't sure she understood, but her grip on his hand tightened, a universal sign he chose to interpret as trust. As the storm raged around them, in the relative safety of his ship just a stone's throw away, Miles prepared to venture into the unknown with his new mysterious companion. His life as a solitary space captain was about to change forever. Back aboard the Peregrine, Miles set up a makeshift medical bay in the cargo hold, which had enough space for the alien girl, whom he had started to think of as Ayla, a name he fashioned from the sounds she made. As he worked to make her comfortable, he noted how she observed every move he made with an intense curiosity, her bright eyes never leaving him. Miles activated the translator module, hoping it could decipher her language. It struggled initially, the digital display flickering between incomprehensible symbols and broken snippets of English. Ayla spoke softly, a stream of melodious words that slowly began to form coherent sentences as the AI learned and adapted. "I am called Ayla," she confirmed, her voice gaining confidence as she heard her own name in her speech. "Thank you, Miles. I am far from my space." "Your ship," Miles started, wanting to know more but careful not to overwhelm her. "Was it an accident or were you attacked?" "Failed engine. I tried to reach the beacon on this planet," Ayla explained, her brow furrowing in distress. Understanding dawned on Miles. She hadn't meant to land here at all. It was pure chance, or fate, that he had found her. "Well, you're safe here for now, Ayla. We'll figure this out together." As she rested, Miles scavenged what he could from the remains of her ship. The technology was advanced, far beyond what he was used to, but he was adept at improvisation. Meanwhile, Isla watched and occasionally offered guidance, her voice gaining strength as she recovered from her ordeal. The days passed with them working side by side, communicating through a blend of the translator's output and a patchwork of gestures and expressions. It was during these moments that Miles noticed the subtle shifts in their dynamic. Isla was no longer just a survivor to be cared for. She was becoming a companion, an equal with much to teach about her world and its wonders. Their connection deepened as they shared meals, Miles introducing Isla to standard ration packs, which she accepted with polite curiosity, and Isla sharing tales of her home planet, Thassa, a world of vast oceans and floating cities. Each story she told painted a picture of a place as rich and vibrant as the nebulae Miles navigated. It wasn't long before their peaceful routine was shattered by an unexpected threat. One evening, as Isla was teaching Miles some basic phrases in her language, the Peregrine's sensors blared an alarm, an unknown vessel approaching fast. Miles checked the monitors, his stomach sinking as he recognized the insignia. "Pirates," he muttered, clenching his fist. "Skrill raiders." Isla looked alarmed, understanding the danger immediately. "They will want what is left of my ship," she realized, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "We won't let them take anything," Miles assured her, heading to the cockpit to prepare for what was coming. Isla followed, determined to stand by him. As the Skrill raider ship loomed large on the Peregrine's sensors, Miles swiftly maneuvered into a defensive position, using the dense asteroid field as cover. The ship's AI, Vega, projected the most likely attack vectors based on the raiders' known tactics. Isla, now more familiar with the ship's systems, assisted by recalibrating the shields to absorb the anticipated energy weapon discharges. "Here they come," Miles warned, his voice tense as he initiated the countermeasures. The Skrill ship fired a volley of ion blasts, bright against the backdrop of space, which Miles dodged with nimble precision. Isla, her fingers flying over the controls, managed to disrupt the raiders' targeting systems temporarily with a well-placed electronic countermeasure. The skirmish intensified, with the Peregrine weaving through asteroids, the impacts of the smaller rocks clanging against the hull. Each maneuver brought them dangerously close to catastrophic collisions, but Miles's piloting skills and Isla's quick thinking kept them one step ahead of the raiders. "Got an idea," Isla said suddenly, her eyes alight with a strategic fire. "If we can lead them into the nebula's edge, the gas clouds could interfere with their sensors. We can lose them there." Miles nodded, impressed by her acumen. "Let's do it. Hang on." He pushed the engines to their limits, the Peregrine hurtling towards the colorful, swirling gases of the Dakari Nebula. The Skrill ship, relentless, pursued closely but began to falter as the nebular gases thickened, their sensors clouded by the dense cosmic fog. Using the nebula's natural cover, Miles executed a series of deceptive maneuvers, creating false sensor echoes to mislead their pursuers. Isla monitored the effects on the raiders' systems, guiding Miles's actions with precision. Finally, as they cleared the nebula, the sensors showed the raiders breaking off, confused and disoriented by the chase. Miles let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding, and Isla slumped slightly in her seat, relief washing over her face. "We make a good team, Isla," Miles said with a grateful smile, glancing at her. She returned the smile, her eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and camaraderie. "Yes, we do, Miles, thank you." With the immediate threat gone, they set a course back to the jungle planet to retrieve any remaining parts from Isla's ship that could be useful for further enhancing the Peregrine. As they worked together, salvaging what they could, the bond between them deepened. They were no longer just survivor and rescuer. They were partners, each learning from the other, growing in respect and trust. That night, as they shared another meal aboard the Peregrine, the conversation turned to their next steps. Isla expressed a desire to attempt a journey back to Thassa, her home planet, now that her ship was irreparable. "I can help you get there," Miles offered without hesitation. "It's the least I can do." Isla looked at him, her gaze intense and sincere. "I would like that very much, Miles. But I also want to help you, as you have helped me. Perhaps there are places your ship cannot go, where mine could have taken us." Miles considered her words, realizing that their journey together could extend beyond mere necessity. "There's a lot of universe out there," he mused aloud. "Maybe it's time I saw more of it." Together, we could explore places neither of us could reach alone. Aila nodded, her face brightening at the prospect. Together, she agreed, her voice firm with resolve and hope. As they planned their route to Thassa, the paths of their lives intertwining, neither Miles nor Aila could have anticipated the adventures that lay ahead. But one thing was clear. The stars held much more for them, and they would face it side by side. After weeks of travel through hyperspace, the Peregrine finally emerged near the aquamarine globe of Thassa, a planet where vast oceans covered almost 90% of the surface. Miles, who had grown up on arid Mars, was captivated by the sheer abundance of water. Aila's home was a world of endless blue, dotted with floating cities and structures that shimmered beneath the waves. Aila's excitement was palpable as they approached her home city, Lumara. "It's beautiful," Miles remarked, genuinely awestruck by the sight of the sprawling aquatic metropolis. "It is," Aila agreed, a tinge of pride in her voice, "and it's good to be home." Their arrival, however, brought more than just reunions. As they docked at the city's grand orbital station, Aila was greeted not just by her family but also by a council of Thalassan elders. They expressed their relief and joy at her safe return, but were also quick to delve into the implications of her absence and the loss of her ship. Miles attended the meetings as Aila's guest, observing the dynamics of Thalassan politics. He learned that Aila's family was one of the leading collectors of deep-sea artifacts, a prestigious but dangerous profession that bestowed considerable influence. Her unexpected disappearance and the destruction of her exploration ship had sparked a power struggle among rival factions. To solidify her family's claim and her own status, Aila was tasked with completing a ceremonial dive to the planet's heart, the deepest part of Thalassa's ocean. It was a rite of passage delayed by her misadventures, now more crucial than ever. "I want to accompany you," Miles said the night before the dive. His concern was evident despite his limited understanding of the dangers that lay in Thalassa's depths. Aila hesitated, touched by his concern but wary of the peril. "It's dangerous, Miles. The pressures are immense and the creatures there are not known for their hospitality." But Miles was resolute. "I've faced pirates and navigated nebula storms with you. Let me face this with you too." Convinced by his determination, Aila agreed, and together they prepared for the dive. Equipped with a specialized submersible, they descended past the light-filled waters into the dark abyss of Thassa. The deeper they went, the more alien the surroundings became. Bioluminescent creatures flickered like stars in the murky depths, casting an eerie glow on the submersible's hull. The journey was tense, with the pressure gauges steadily ticking in a grim countdown. Their destination was a cavern known as the Heart Chamber, a place few had visited and returned from. Legend had it that the chamber held artifacts of the ancients, Thalassa's first settlers, whose technology was highly advanced and revered. As they reached the chamber, they were awestruck by the sight of the ancient relics, illuminated by their craft's lights. But their wonder was soon disrupted by a massive creature, awakened by the intrusion into its domain. The beast, resembling a colossal squid with shimmering tentacles, attacked their submersible, its strength formidable. Working together, Aila navigated while Miles managed the craft's defenses. They employed sonic pulses, non-lethal but effective, to disorient the creature long enough to escape its grasp. With the artifacts secured, they ascended back to the surface, their mission a success. The council, upon their return, was impressed by Aila's bravery and Miles's support, solidifying her family's influence and her place among her people. Having solidified her claim and secured her family's legacy with the successful retrieval of the ancients' artifacts, Aila's status among her people was elevated. However, the ceremony to officially recognize her achievements and her return was still pending. It was a time-honored tradition on Thassa, one that involved not just a celebration of success, but also a public acknowledgement of the trials overcome and the bonds formed during such quests. The ceremony, known as the Rite of the Depths, was to be held in the Lumara City Amphitheater, an impressive structure built beneath the surface of the ocean, its transparent dome providing a panoramic view of the aquatic world outside. The city's inhabitants, along with various dignitaries from other parts of the planet, gathered, their bodies glowing subtly with bioluminescent tattoos that marked the festive occasion. Miles, dressed in Thalassan attire that Aila had provided, flowing garments that shimmered with the same luminescent quality as the tattoos of the natives, stood beside her as she prepared to speak to her people. He felt both honored and nervous, aware of his outsider status yet proud to stand by Isla's side. As the ceremony commenced, Isla spoke eloquently about her journey, the trials she faced, and the invaluable assistance of her human friend. "Without Miles, I would not stand before you today," she declared, her voice resonant in the aquatic chamber. Her words not only elevated her own status, but also served to bridge the gap between her people and the humans standing beside her. After the formalities, as the celebration continued with music and dance, Isla and Miles had a moment to reflect on their journey together. "You know, when I first saw you, I never imagined we'd end up here," Miles admitted, his gaze taking in the festive scene around them. Isla smiled, her eyes reflecting the vibrant colors around them. "Neither did I. But I am grateful for every moment that led us here." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from one of Isla's aides. The Skrill raiders, it seemed, were not content to let their previous defeat go unavenged. They had regrouped and were now approaching Thassa, likely seeking to capture Isla or perhaps even to plunder the planet's resources. The news cast a shadow over the festivities. Isla's expression hardened with resolve. "We must defend Thassa," she stated firmly. "My people, our home, it's under threat." Miles nodded, his own determination mirroring hers. "I'll stand with you, Isla. We'll defend your home together." The threat required them to leave the celebration prematurely. Together, they coordinated with Thalassa's defense forces, planning a strategy to repel the raiders. Miles's experience with space combat and Isla's knowledge of her planet's tactical advantages were instrumental in forming a robust defense. As the Skrill fleet approached, the battle commenced. Thalassan defense ships, sleek and designed for underwater agility, emerged from the oceans into space, their weapons charged. The Peregrine, too, was ready, its systems enhanced with Thalassan technology from the artifacts Isla had recovered. The battle was fierce, with Isla and Miles working in perfect sync. The Skrill were formidable, but the defenders of Thassa were driven by the need to protect their home. Through ingenious tactics and relentless fighting, the raiders were eventually repelled, their ships retreating in disarray. After the Skrill raiders had been driven back and Thassa secured, a sense of calm settled over the planet. Isla's reputation as a capable leader was solidified, and her people viewed Miles with a newfound respect. The celebration of the Rite of the Depths resumed, this time with an even greater fervor, as it also celebrated their victory and resilience. In the days that followed, as things returned to normal, Miles and Isla took time to reflect on their future. Thassa was Isla's home, a place she loved deeply, but the galaxy was vast, and there were many adventures to be had. For Miles, his life had always been among the stars, wandering from one corner of the galaxy to another, and he found himself at a crossroads. Sitting together in one of Thalassa's floating gardens, watching exotic fish glide beneath the transparent walkways, they discussed their options. "I could stay," Miles proposed, half in jest, half serious. "There's a lot I could learn here, and not just about swimming." Isla laughed, her gaze affectionate. "And I could come with you. There's much of the galaxy I've yet to see. My duties here are important, but perhaps it's time I explored beyond Thassa." The decision wasn't easy. Isla's responsibilities to her people weighed on her, just as Miles's nature urged him to roam. But as they talked, it became clear that their desire to stay together was stronger than any pull to a specific place. They decided to spend part of the year on Thassa, with the remainder exploring the galaxy. Their first journey as a committed couple was to the Library of Saldor, a massive space station that housed knowledge from across the universe. Isla was eager to learn more about other cultures and technologies, while Miles looked forward to showing her the places he had only mentioned in stories. At the Library of Saldor, they delved into ancient texts and modern holograms, learning about lost civilizations and emerging sciences. Isla's quick mind absorbed the new knowledge, while Miles found a joy in seeing the universe through her eyes that he had never experienced alone. As they traveled from one system to another, visiting planets Miles had only heard of in passing, they encountered various challenges, from negotiating trade disputes on remote outposts to helping with natural disasters on frontier colonies. Each challenge brought them closer, their skills complementing each other in ways neither had anticipated. On a small icy planet on the edge of the galactic rim, they helped a mining colony establish a sustainable habitat, using Isla's knowledge of ecosystems and Miles's experience with off-world construction. The gratitude of the colony was profound, and the couple left knowing they had made a tangible difference. Their travels weren't without peril, however. When a rogue comet threatened a populated research station, Miles and Ayla worked tirelessly with the station's crew to divert the disaster. Ayla's calm under pressure and Miles's quick thinking saved thousands of lives, earning them commendations from several planetary councils. Through all these adventures, their love for each other grew. They had become more than just companions. They were partners in every sense of the word. Each night, no matter where they were in the galaxy, they would look out at the stars and plan their next destination, their excitement for the future as boundless as the universe itself.